Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
A few days ago, Nintendo held a Nintendo Direct where they announced that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are finally coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. That was actually pretty surprising.
Course,
that was pretty surprising. I was very excited about that.
because I feel like Nintendo 64 games were like less than a year ago, I feel like it hasn't been that long.
Maybe. I was just surprised, like, Game Boy. Oh, Game Boy games. Game Boy Advance game. Oh, both of these things are coming out right now. It's like,
That's true.
But I thought there's going to be drip feed forever on this stuff. I was just very excited they all came out at once.
Prepare for the games to be drip fed forever, but they also did Genesis and N64 last time, so I mean that kinda
I guess that's fair.
Feels like they're kind of going two at a time. But anyway, because that came out, we had to go back to a game that I think we both kind of held like really high up there in our minds, but I know I haven't touched since probably the late 90s, and that is Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins. So this was weird to me because I think I texted you, was like, I'm playing Super Mario Land 2. I forgot how good this is. And you're like, thank you. Finally somebody admits this. In my mind, you've played 0 Nintendo games that predate like 2013. So when you even like had any recollection of this game, I was shocked.
No. I played... No, my gap actually... So I had a Game Boy. Game Boy was my first console. On my Game Boy, I had Kirby's Dream Land 2, which was my first game, and my second game was Super Mario Land 1 or 2, but I had both of them. So I've played this game backwards and forwards. I can't tell you how many times I've played this game. I've probably beaten this game 20 times, probably more, maybe 20 to 30 times.
Probably more. Because I feel like when you're a kid and you have like the one game for 6 months, and especially when it's a game like this, it's maybe like 2 hours long, probably closer to an hour and a half once you get get good at it.
Down. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You probably ran through this 3 or 4 times in a day someday.
Exactly. And that's when I beat this. I was like, oh, that was it. It's like, oh, I can see how I had beaten this game so many times as a kid. But it's really funny. This is my Mario. This is how I perceive the Mario franchise. So anything that's like not weird Mario, I have like zero interest in, because like to me, Mario is already starting from this very weird place, which is Super Mario Land 1 and 2. So like when I see new Super Mario Bros, like, that's not my Mario. Mario Odyssey was about the closest to my Mario I've seen in like 2 decades, which is why I really enjoyed that game as well.
It is really weird, and that's why I think I almost wanted to talk about this. I kind of played a couple of those other Game Boy games here and there, but like this is the one that in my mind sticks out, because if you were to ask me to, prior to 4 days ago, make a list of my all-time favorite Mario games, this would have been like, it would have been in there somewhere, but it was one of those where it's like, I played that as a kid. I'm sure it's not as cool now, but this thing holds up. It is still fun. It is still probably the most creative Mario game out there.
Sure.
Just in terms of Odyssey, maybe, and Galaxy does some interesting things, but like 2D Mario, this is probably towards the top. And nothing's touching 3 and nothing's touching World, but this game is so good.
It is really good.
And it still is. It holds up so well. And I think that what you're saying is, if this is your experience with Mario, this is such a distinctly different Mario than you see anywhere else. I mean, there's a level where you're jumping up and down on Legos, and one level that's made of balloons, and everything in this is just this weird thing that you never get in traditional Marios, because it's, desert land, fire land, ice land, and done. And this one just goes all kinds of off the rails into all kinds of weird places.
It was really funny, actually, the one you mentioned with like the Lego blocks and the balloon balls. I think that's actually in the same world. So like even in the same world, the theme is like level to level is totally different. I remember there was one level the one I thought was really interesting. There's like a Halloween level, and they have like little Jason masks with knives in them. And then there's a portion of that level that I never understood as a kid. I was like, what are these weird monsters? And I realized they're all Japanese horror, like Shinto monsters. Like there's like flying umbrellas and stuff. I was like, what the heck's a flying umbrella doing after? Because I knew Dracula had Jason masks, but I was like, heck is a flying umbrella doing? It's like, oh no, that's like a very traditional. You see it in Okami and like basically any Japanese game, an evil umbrella. It was really funny going through it. I was just like, man, every single level in this has something unique about it. It's not like, one, well, I guess that's a little bit different. Those do change. But I'm saying like the theme of each level is totally different. And I think the one thing that I liked is the tone of it, even in the level design, to me is a little mean. which I liked. And I maybe you won't agree with me on this. I feel like the game does a lot of things to trick you and get you into spots like to like overestimate jumps, or like
Oh
they'll
yeah.
trap you in certain areas. Like you're like, oh, I fell down this area, and you're jumping up. It's like, wait, I'm trapped here because there's invisible blocks you didn't see, and now you're trapped, and now you're kind of stuck in a harder area. I just felt constantly there's like all these like little traps and stuff in the level design that felt a little bit meaner, and then like the fact that like every world is just a little weird and askew just kind of gives it this kind of, to me personally, again, this is mostly nostalgia talking, it's like a little
Yep.
creepier to me than like most Mario movies because it's so changing and there's no foothold you can kind of sit on.
Yeah, and again, I think just in some of the ways that it kind of funnels you through, it like almost directs you to dead ends a couple times. There are a couple
Yeah.
times where, oh, yep, this was just to get those 3 coins, and now I've got to track backwards a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
or oh, this funneled me this way, and oh, I there was one level where I paused it and went away for like 5 or 6 hours to do something, came back, and I completely like went entirely backwards to the start of the level,
Oh, jeez.
just because
Yeah.
like because it was one of those, because there's a couple where it's split path, like you kind of can go left, right, on, down. So it's like I
Yeah.
didn't remember where I came from. It's like, oh, okay, this seems right. This seems. Oh, I'm basically back at the. Whoops, I'm back at the start. So I
Yeah.
think the level design here is very creative. And again, I think like you're saying, because you're not constantly like in every other Mario game for the most part, it's a flat land. It's just land, and that
Yeah.
land happens
Yeah.
to be ice. That land happens to be fire. But here you've got like the curvature of balloons. You've got like the Lego pieces where there's little like lumps in it, and just everything looks a little askew. So you
Yeah.
never quite have that feeling of, I know exactly where the edge of this is. I know exactly how
Sure.
I can hit this. It has and a few other Mario games do it too, where you kind of like jump through things that are floating, and I don't know what they're supposed to be. It's Game Boy graphics, but
Yeah. Sure.
where it's in the middle, and you kind of like have to keep jumping to kind of like hover yourself through this. It's just, there's so many cool things in this that I had no recollection of this game being this interesting.
Sure. Yeah, I think I was like pleasantly surprised playing it because you have these memories of it as a kid, and you just think that like, oh, just like many other games, like many times you go back to a game, it's just like this just isn't gonna hit the same way. Maybe it's just
Yeah,
weird because it's the first time. It's like when you play like games for the first time, they all seem kind of weird.
yeah,
But there's just something just very cool. It like it just feel, and I actually kind of wanted. I should have gone and like looked too direct to this game because sometimes there's like Kirby enemies are in it occasionally, and like the
hmm
enemy art design just looks like they just let people do whatever they want. So there's
yeah.
just no
I mean, that's the
consistency
whole.
between the enemies at all, or the
It's
levels
that's
or
the whole
anything.
feeling of this. The whole feeling of this game is just like, oh yeah, this was somebody we said, I don't know, go make a level. Okay, go make a level. Okay, go make a level, and then we just kind of hodgepodge them together
Yeah,
to create this thing. And okay, the balloon Lego and the balloon world and the Lego level, well, those go the same. The one that looks like a submarine, I just put that with the water levels. Like,
sure.
there's just lots of just like creativity to it that I think is just so unique, and I think really differentiate it from other Mario games. The other thing that stood out to me were the bosses.
Yeah.
The bosses are just fun and weird things. Like,
Hmm.
I think now it's so you play a Mario game, you're like, okay, I'm getting Bowser Jr. Okay, I'm getting one
Sure.
of Bowser Jr.'s friends. Okay, I've fought Bowser 4 times. Okay, and end of game. Whereas this is like, there's a bird. There's just random other stuff. It's just random things that kind of
The
fit the theme of the world. And
the
then
Three Little Pigs
yeah,
I
all
think
right.
is the probably the weirdest one.
Yes, that was what I was trying to think of. The Three Little Pigs boss is. I literally got there. I was
Stupid
like,
hard as
is this
well.
yes, is this seriously what we're doing right now? We're doing Three Little Pigs. Okay, that's actually, yep, that is what we're going for.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's just that kind of stuff where it's just, it feels like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, just go make that game, just do your own thing on the Game Boy. I don't know what you're doing on the Game Boy, just go do your
Yeah.
Game Boy thing, and you sit in your corner and make your little Game Boy game, and whatever you come up with is fine.
It is funny because I think that's kind of like how, because I know at least Link's Awakening was kind of made like on the side and nobody was really
Yeah,
paying attention until it's like, oh, this is actually a product we can now sell. So that's why like Link's Awakening is super weird. I really love the Game Boy era of games just because considering how weird they are. On the bosses, oh, this is also the first time Wario shows up. This is the first
yep,
occurrence of Wario, and Wario in this is like a very creepy, creepy guy who's like a giant goblin man. Who I mean, I
definitely
won't
not
spoil.
farting motorcycle guy.
Yeah, definitely not like that. You're friendly Wario. It was really funny because I was also playing WarioWare Between I was playing Wario where I was
Yep.
playing this. I was like, boy, Wario is definitely a different person than he had first conceived him as. But it's also really cool because I also have Wario Land 3 on there, and that's where you kind of see the evolution of like even the Game Boy Wario was like changing a little bit, and then changing to
Yep.
Game Boy Advance and changing where he is now. So it's really cool also having Wario Land on there as well, because actually Super Mario Land 3 is the first Wario Land game.
Yep.
It's actually, I think it's actually called Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land or something like that. And that's another
Yeah.
series that like I really, really loved as well. And I have like all these fond memories of Wario Land. I'm like, actually, shit, I hope these are all like pretty cool. So that's like, I'm excited for like the next kind of wave of this stuff. And hopefully as more people discover it, to me, which again, like is the weird side of Mario, but to me, that's just like, that's my guy.
That's your Mario.
That's my Mario. That's my Mario, and that's my Wario. I don't know what they're doing nowadays. It's just so funny, especially compared to like new Super Mario Brothers. Just that sort of how safe and clean.
Oh yeah.
And whatever,
And that,
even modern. Yeah.
and that was I was thinking of it because the last 2D Mario game I played was New Super Mario Brothers 2 on the DS or on the 3DS.
3DS, yeah.
Which is easily like the most boring, the most just what's just paint by numbers Mario game I've ever played, and just the distinction between the two is so far away. Like it's insane to me. Like that the same concept. Like this is the same character in this game and this game. We're doing the same thing in these two games, and it's just wildly different. And it's just crazy to me.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that like they're with Odyssey, to me it's like, okay, well they're at least willing to take some chance with the character. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I was not expecting to be like floored by a Game Boy game this week. It was one of those where I was like,
funny.
oh cool,
Yeah.
I remember playing those games, and it's like this game literally like I think I started. I woke up like 20 minutes early one morning before work and was like, oh, you know what, I'll just try Super Mario Land 2. I got like 10 minutes, why not? Like I'm up early, played it for 10 minutes, was like, oh shit, I'm gonna play this. Okay, I gotta go through this whole thing now. This is interesting.
Yeah, there's a little bit I know. Like I had some vindication for my childhood self. I remember as a kid thinking the Wario Castle was so hard, and as an adult, I didn't want to use the rewind feature. I wanted to go through this one clean, and I was like,
Oh, no.
this Wario Castle is so hard. Like as an adult, I was like, I don't know how I was able to do this as a 6-year-old. Yeah,
I rewound the hell when I got to there. I didn't use it too much going through the rest of the game, but that Wario Castle, I initially was like, yeah, I'll just go through this. Like, we'll pretend there's no rewind, and then I think I tried twice. And was like, nope.
The difficulty
I got
spike.
rewinds.
Actually, do you know how this game overs? You didn't see a game over. Do you know how this game overs?
What do you mean?
Oh, okay. So
no, I didn't get a game over because like by the time I got there, I had like 15 lives and like.
I also didn't get a game over this time. I distinctly remember this game over compared to pretty much any other game because I would die in Wario Castle a lot. What it does, so when you beat a boss, you get a coin. When you get a game over, it removes all of the coins, so you have to go back and re-beat all of the bosses to reopen up the final castle.
Oh, you suck your way into a boss rush mode.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why you turn off your Game Boy as quick as you can before you think you're gonna die.
The classic tricks. I actually tried that with something the other day. I think it was Life is Strange or something like that, where I fucked up a choice. And I was like, no, when I quick turned it off
before the autosave kicks in.
Doesn't work anymore.
No, not so much.
Anyway, for sure something to check out if you have any interest in Mario and like the weird history of Mario. I think you'd get a kick out of it. If you use rewind, you could probably make it through this in an hour flat.
Yeah,
but,
probably. No.
We are Workforce Gaming. We try to have new videos up every Monday. Please leave a comment below and subscribe to our channel, and we hope to see you again soon.
Bye.